also think that if you are planning this kind of thing, do not step back, because those who still need those things are there. But I think you should borrow from what Sahel said. There is also another way that they did it, where you keep the things in the seat. Maybe your people can come a day before then. If you have a hall, if it's church, or you have a hall, you have the seats, you keep the gift on the chair. As people walk in, as you're taking your own seat, whatever is under that seat, you pick it and know that is yours. Because where you pack them, they are full everywhere, and people are just seeing it. Just like you're saying, when they are sharing it, your mind will begin to play a fast one on you. Like, you just go see, collect this one, done this thing, done they finish. It's really unfortunate that we are talking about hardship in the land now. Families are also mourning just because they want to go and collect food. Now the people are gone, and there's nothing anybody can do to bring those lives that are lost. My condolences to the family as well. Just like I want to tell other religious bodies, other NGOs and so on, don't step back in the good that you want to do this season, but you may strategize, you may need to plan well so that you can reach out, because if you don't give out those good things, it could be hunger that will now kill the person eventually. It could be that that same person, out of desperation, might go steal, or go, if it's a young girl, you now have to go out. And I want to use this opportunity to say something. Government, they need to do something about the level of poverty. I want to repeat that. And the reason why I'm saying it, Sahel, you know the place where I work.
Yes.
There are people who have, I won't blame them, because I'm not in their pocket, I'm not in their account, I don't know how they are running their own business, that they've not been able to increase what they are paying their people. Now, the person when you are paying the person 40K, she pays 500 naira to come to work. Now she pays 1,000 naira, 1,200 to come to work, and she's still collecting the 40,000. The person eats a plate of food, then 700 naira, 600 naira. Now the cheapest you can get is 1,300. I'm just
being
talking
moderate
based on my own area where I do my own business. Sahel, where do you think, especially those young girls, are going to get the extra cash? And one thing that I've observed is, I'm not saying this to judge anybody, because maybe because of my own personal belief and so on, I don't see it as, just like people say, sinful act. But I feel like a lady shouldn't do something just because you're pushed to it, because condition has, as we the talk, condition ain't make crayfish bend. Now, most of these girls are doing subtly more like prostitution. It's more like hookup to survive, because they feel like staying in the business environment gives you opportunity to meet people. And not just meeting people for things. For anybody who says hi, if somebody can just take me to somewhere, sleep with it, give me extra 5K, it's going to go a long way. It is that bad. And I'm appealing to government. Do something about transportation. Do something about food. We are talking about hunger. Our little girls are, doing what they are not supposed to be. And many of them, this is not really what they want for their lives.
So here's the thing. It's not even just the young girls. It's the young boys as well.
The boys are also still
It's the young boys as well. We're talking about massive recruitments into banditry and all other sorts of ills and internet scams and all of that, just to survive.
Let's go on a quick break. Then we'll
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment. Audio.
Connection established.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is 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 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Our phone this morning, but Somi wanted to also weigh in before we open up the phone line this morning.
Yes, of
so
course.
Let me put Usang on call. He had called me earlier, but I couldn't take it because we're going for the break.
All right, if you're just joining us, we are talking about the wave of stampedes that have come around to, how would I call it now, color this season in a very dark light.
Right.
And we're looking at the history of stampedes and everything.
I'm holding on.
Okay, that's
all right. Welcome, Dr. Osang for God. Good to have you here. So, sir, I don't know if you've been listening. We have been looking at the stampedes that happened. A case here in the FCT where about 10 people were said to have lost their lives. Unfortunately, that same day, another 22 people lost their lives in Anambra. And this is in addition to the over 40 people thereabouts, children included, that lost their lives at the one that happened in Oyo Ibadan. Now, Effizy has spoken a lot to matters of organization, and I wanted to come in that regard as well, because I would start by saying human beings will always be human beings. The problem you now have is when you now have a higher percentage of hungry human beings. Now you are dealing with a twofold issue. Now, even people, it will shock you that even people who are sort of well-to-do, and I'm talking about when you're looking at instances that have not been tied to, what do they call it now?
Stampedes?
To food distribution.
Okay.
We've had stampedes happen in terms of recruitment exercises.
Oh, yes.
We've had stampedes happen, and this is my own personal experience. I think we came so close to a stampede. It's God that saved that telecoms organization that day. You know that period where they did a massive shutdown?
Yes.
Barring of lines.
Yes.
I was on a queue for hours on end that morning, and the organization, I would say, was rather poor, to the point that people now started, trying to plead their case and say, come on now, people should do better. Organize this thing. Some of us have been here since so and so time. You're letting other people in that are not supposed to be in, and all of that. It was until thugs came and started shaking down the gate. I remember they shook down the gates of that telecoms company in Maitama. They shook it down. It came loose off its hinges. At that point, they now stopped the exercise, called on security operatives. They now came and started tear gassing people. So I wanted to speak to this because I think in all situations, a human being will always come out. What's that thing called? The unknown self. There are situations that will present itself in such a way that everybody, whether you are poor, whether you're rich, your unknown self will come out. And so I want to speak largely to organization of these things. Now, Effizy was saying maybe have a stamped and signed ticket. In all cases, it won't always work. Yeah. But there are ways that you can take advantage of the apparatus around you in that community for whatever it is that you want to do. Also ensure that your in-house organization is on point so that people are not pushed to the point where they have to start doing that.
Okay.
Just wanted to say that before Dr. Osang came in.
Chief Doctor Professor Osang for God.
Compliments of the season, sir.
Same to you, the billionaire and the princess in the studio. Much regards to Elder Chima, Mazi, Destiny, Anthony, and
morning, sir.
So thanks for this privilege. I don't take it for granted. And part of the things I wanted to say, Somi has captured them in a summary. Now, it will be very, very insensitive for any of us to speak and not also attribute this disaster, this avoidable death to the hunger and the poverty in the land. It has a very large chunk of role it is playing. And like one of you said, Somi said that it will shock you, the category and class of people who might turn up for these items, for this distribution, to receive. Whether they're picking for someone or not, it will shock you. Now, I want to speak this morning as a security expert and also a practical humanitarian service provider. And from the point of my security expert, I want to say that a lot of time when we put things together very good as they are, we never or rarely give priority to the outcome in terms of security. You hear programs like this being put in place and millions, hundreds of millions of naira being budgeted for this, budgeted for, for facilitators and everything that is involved, but almost nothing is thought or done for in the aspect of security. Now, Effizy said in Maiduguri, you had a distribution that you made. You had 12 workers, and then you have 4 security to attend to over 365 or 55 or thereabout number of people. That was actually low. Because when I'm talking about security, I'm not talking about necessarily armed men. No. I'm talking about the ushers. I'm talking about those who are there to ensure that these things are properly done. We did one yesterday. It will shock you that despite that we did that program yesterday, after the gospel, after men and women heard the gospel, the outcome was funny. Although it was not rowdy, there was no stampede because I coordinated that and I ensured that all protocol officers in the church, some ushers and some people were involved. It was properly organized, but the surprise was in terms of those who came in to pick things. And then secondly, apart from the surprise of the category of people who came in to pick things, the attitude. They say, pick one shoe, pick one cloth, and a bag of rice. People, they carry 5. Hold 5 together. Mama, no. They say, we carry one. No, I beg. They say, some of them have to be stopped at the point of exit because we created to exit. We give them dockets, numbers signed. And when you come in with your paper, nobody, the ushers will not take it from you. You go in, you have 2 minutes to pick, they spend 5 minutes. 10, batch of 10. So when they go in, they pick these things, and then at the exit, then they receive this from you. Some of them, it was at the exit that they had to be turned back to go and return the thing they took after hearing the gospel. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this to the effect that human beings will always be human beings.
Yes,
Somebody said that. In addition to the hunger in the land, there's what we call group behavior in sociology.
Yes.
If you put in men of 70 years men in a classroom for purpose of academics, there's a behavior you should expect.
Yes.
That student nature will still come up.
As long as they are sitting behind the desks.
Yes. If you bring in 100 pastors to be attended to for certain program, as far as that program is concerned, it will trigger some certain behavior. So if you bring in 1,000 imam, for the purpose of certain things, the atmosphere, what is being done will trigger up some behavior. So human being, it is in the nature of human beings to be human, and it is in the nature of God to be God. Those that psychological point you mentioned, sir, it will always be there. Even in marriage, there is that aspect of you that you don't know that will only be triggered based on the character or attitude of your partner. Yes, you hear people say, I didn't know this. You wouldn't know, because even you too, you did not know that you can bring up some behavior that will make him bring up some attitude that he did not even know he has. Now, if we want to put these things, it's unfortunate. My heart goes out to the families of those who have lost people, unavoidable death. I want to call on government and everyone involved to do everything possible to alleviate this poverty and hunger in the land. And I also want to call on group of people, NGOs, government functionaries that are responsible for organizing programs like this to take security issue very, very seriously. Sir, when some of these things are being put together, and then you will see the behavior towards security. It's not just called. In some places, they don't even mind. They don't even inform the police. They don't even inform uniform. They don't even inform any bouncers or any group of people to perform security role. Why? Because you think you are doing good. You are doing good, but like we have agreed that behaviors of people can be propelled by the circumstance. I love this analogy you were giving. The unknown side of you, the calculating, will it reach me or will it not reach me? And the nature of man, the greedy nature of man always come to play as well. Even when some people have been, opportune to pick some of these things, there's an aspect of them that makes them or tempts them to want to pick more than they need or to pick more than they are supposed to pick. And so when we are putting these things together, sir, the first thing should be security. Now, some of them, when they're organizing these things, they don't even if they involve security, they just involve security on the last day. Instead of asking the security to make good search of that environment ahead of time, they will advise you on the number you need, they will advise you on the strategy, but no, you have finished choosing your venue, you have finished choosing your plan, and you just go to one place and say, hey, you just need a few days. When they say pay for 10, you say, no, you want to pay for 3. So that is what I feel I should contribute. We all need to put, our minds together. The government has to do something, sir. But there's no need to hiding to say it. The government has to do something. Mazi raised some better issues about young people. Sir, each time I go to some places to buy some things, I've been attended to by young men and young women who I know that they earn about 50, from 30, 25,000 naira. What I wonder is, how do they survive? Sir, if we, despite all the running around, all the years we are putting, all the hustle, side hustle, legal, things we put together, running around, driving, yet we can't find our feet on the ground in terms of providing all we need for our children and our family. How much more people that are earning 30,000, 25,000, 50,000 who have to transport themselves from Kefi, Massacre, and all the nooks and crannies of Abuja? Something has to be done. Poverty has to be alleviated. Government must rise to their responsibility to ensure that if there is anything they need to do in terms of policy that will bring down this hardship in this country, so let it be so. The pain is more. Sometimes I feel like whipping, I feel like giving up, I feel like even shouting it out, despite all I do, or despite all that comes into my pocket. Thank you for this privilege, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
You.
Dr. Sang, I wanted to ask a question, but I think in a way you sort of answered it when it came to, seeking the services of security people when it comes to these things, because I think one of the key things that you would witness in some of these instances, in some, not all, I'm looking at the one that happened at Holy Trinity Maitama, for example, would be the choice of location. Choice of location that's what I'm saying. So eventually answered it. It is so key. There are some kinds of locations that should not be used for this thing. I look at the Holy Trinity Maitama instance, and I typically think that place, by virtue of all those blocks set up and everything, that it would be a relatively
safe place,
secure and manageable environment. But apparently another thing would be the mode of distribution of this information that this thing is going on. Apparently, according to what they had there, and I'm guessing, I don't think that a Holy Trinity Maitama that would set up those blocks there would not take into consideration at least the presence of security personnel. But when you have about 3,000 people show up for that kind of exercise, how could you have projected exactly how many numbers of security personnel you ought to have had there? But I think if there was a better location used for it, it may have been better handled. Yes.
All right. Honorable Doctor, thank you so much. Let's take some calls. The phone lines
let me just say something. 30 seconds, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Please, at the beginning of the planning of all this program, get in your committee, let there be somebody or some people there for security purposes. Yes, they will counsel you properly. Or if you don't want to do that, go for security counseling. Just go. There are people who provide, there are experts who would advise you on group management in terms of this aspect, location, and the things to be done, in terms of information dissemination, in terms of what to do and not to do. Sometimes these organizers put out more that they can afford.
All right.
To cater for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's
and it's all from the goodness of their heart, though. Sadly, how it works against them.
Really
all right. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Somi.
Yes,
God
welcome. Bless you too, sir.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome to the show.
When are you sharing your own rights? Let us know.
For now, I've put it on hold.
My name is Aki, right?
Yes, you're welcome.
This thing that is happening, it is very unfortunate. It's happening inside the church. The Bible says, when they come to giving, offering, whatever your right hand do, don't let the left hand know. These people, they want to give people rights in the presence of a camera. That is why you see they gather people.
Oh no, Uncle Aki, no, hold on, Uncle Aki. Let's not go that route. That might not be a very good route to go because.
Let me give you a suggestion.
Suggestion. Okay, that's fine.
No, this is a Catholic church. They have branches all over Abuja. If they want to give rights, why can't they take 100 parishes, give 100 bag of rice or whatever to each of those parishes and let them share? Government palliative, people die in Stampede because some of these things are not done properly. There's no way you will gather 3,000 people, not 500, 100. Though. For me, the one that happened in Ibadan, the same problem. How many children died? 35. My suggestion going forward, when you are doing this thing, segregate it. LFEs, take this into mosque, take this into orphanage, take this in, so I don't need to gather people. We are helping people in any way. I'm sorry to say the issue of camera anyway. But I can tell you, most of some of these things that are done in Nigeria, you just do it to maybe to probably to get money from donor fund abroad. That's why you see some of these challenges. Otherwise, there are no basis to gather people.
All right.
You can take this into community people and let them share to people. Good morning.
Thank you, Uncle Aki.
I'm very angry.
Sorry about that.
I mean, your anger is understandable, but at the same time, there needs to be proper understanding of the issues at this. So I think the thing with cameras, I can assure you, it's not a religious organization thing. Perhaps you see that when people are trying to do one or two, and you mentioned donor organizations, so that would be more of an NGO thing, not a religious organization thing. Because I can promise you, I know churches that do this. One particular one every month, and nobody.
Good.
Nobody knows. So I think in this instance, which is what I was trying to say when it comes to location and mode of distribution of the information, they probably mentioned it in the church to some of the parish members who took it to their neighbors and said yes, because apparently the numbers of people that came from a specific area, Pape Gishiri, according to the news report. So the mode of distribution of information was such that it was uncontrolled, and the church probably ended up having more than they could handle.
He was saying they should use other parishes. That's
also that also doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply
because I told you I saw
another one.
Yes.
So possibly they did it in all their churches around.
So here's why I said it doesn't even apply. It doesn't work like that. It's not like you will have with the Pentecostals that will have spread. It's different.
I think we'll just hold Mr. Akin to his anger.
It's just the anger.
Yes, he's angry. And it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it was an emotional.
The loss of lives, yes.
True.
Adebari Awodoye says, in a country where leaders don't obey traffic rules, her followers will not obey common queue. What's difficult in line up on a straight line? What's NOA doing? Our level of education and enlightenment is very low. And that's what he had to say on WhatsApp.
Jay from Gariki says, Sir El, Mazi and Somi, there's the problem with poor organization, but we also have problem as a people. At the risk of sounding insensitive, I think we need to do better as a people. This happens among people from a low and a high echelon. I've been at a wedding reception at a hotel in Lagos some years ago when the economy was better. And when it was time for the buffet, it almost turned to a free-for-all fight. Whereas there was more than enough food to go around everyone 3 times. It's the same thing that happens with public transport, buying fuel at the even at the airports. We are not just orderly in nature, she says. We find it difficult waiting for our turn or being on a queue, and it boils down to lack of enforcement sometimes. Again, coming back to organization. Why do we queue when we leave the shores of this country? Why not stay on the queue? If it's meant to reach you, it will. If not, try again next time. And she continues, sometimes we're not even expecting free cash or food, so why make it a do or die affair? We need to talk to ourselves. We can't continue to be disorderly or unruly. How can we continue to lose lives when there is something to be shared? Hungry people don't have that kind of strength. It's just a bad attitude. In brackets, she says greed, fear of missing out, and so on.
Jay, I must tell you that you are very right. It's just that, unfortunately, when you say try again next time, and failure is not a part of our growth in Nigeria. Try again means that you have been down and nothing can happen.
Nothing can.
Failure also means that you lose. You are not intelligent, nothing. But these are processes. Failure is a process. Try again is also a process. It means that you must have tried that thing. Maybe you try a better time. Maybe you come earlier than you came.
It's also a case of this thing, although I find it an erroneous saying, opportunity comes but once. These people that you find in these situations, some of the time, not all of the time, because you and I agree, it happens both at the higher ups and the lowers. You know, I mentioned the incidents with the telecom company. It's not as if they were seeing anything that was depleting. They were not seeing anything, as Effizy said, that always depleting, you're calculating your head. It was just a case of do this and I have somewhere else to be. And they wanted to bring down the entire place. So when you look at it from that perspective, there's so many things that will lead people to this. It may not necessarily be a greed thing. It's just that thing of how the organization is being done and how patient or ready we are to follow the process. All right. Good morning, Effizy, Somi, and the guests. My opinion is, with our population and the hardship in the country, people will always come out for palliatives and gifts. But I stand with the billionaire. Nigerians lack patience. They want to drag to get to the palliative when they know it might not get to them, which spills into dragging. Put the word out. Take down the names and numbers of those who might be opportune to get a palliative. But the downside is, will those in charge be honest enough to pick those who really need it? Another angle. Chris from Airport Road, thank you for that. Let's take one more call before we go on the break.
Okay, one more call.
Hello, good morning. Hello?
Okay.
Nobody there. Hello, good morning.
Good morning from me.
Welcome. Welcome back, sir. You have 50 seconds.
Thank you. How will you expect hungry Nigeria, poverty-stricken Nigeria to be patient when you need to go into a neighborhood and see what people are contending with? People are malnourished. People are working skeletons. It is so terrible for me and Billionaire and Elder.
Yes,
it is terrible. Wallahi, Nigeria, we are the heroes, and there may be explosion. And that explosion may even lead to lootings of property, good items, because people are hungry beyond anybody's imagination. A similar incident was averted last Friday in Gwagwalada here.
All right, sir, we have to go on a break. We have to go on a break.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
This is Nigeria Info.